Once upon a time, in a small village nestled deep within the forest, there lived a farmer named Jacob. Jacob was known for his thriving farm, which provided the entire village with fresh crops, dairy products, and meat. Life in the village was peaceful, until one ominous night when the moon was shrouded in dark clouds. Unknown to the villagers, a ghoul creature lurked within the depths of the nearby cemetery. Legends spoke of a curse that had plagued the land for centuries, awakening the ghoul from its eternal slumber. As midnight approached, the earth trembled, and the creature clawed its way to the surface. With bared fangs and eyes glowing like embers, the ghoul prowled the village under the cloak of darkness. It targeted unsuspecting villagers and livestock with merciless ferocity, leaving behind a trail of destruction in its wake. Walls were stained with blood, eerie howls echoed through the night, and terrified screams filled the air. As the days turned into weeks, fear and chaos gripped the farming community. The villagers rallied together, desperate to find a way to vanquish the ghoul that seemed invincible. They sought advice from wise sages, who shared ancient tales of heroes who had faced similar creatures in the past, armed with silver-tipped weapons and a glimmer of hope. The villagers devised a plan to trap the ghoul. They set a trap near the farm, baiting it with the scent of fresh blood. Night fell, and the villagers awaited the ghoul's arrival, their hearts pounding with trepidation. Suddenly, rustling leaves and a low growl signaled the ghoul's approach. It emerged from the shadows, its grotesque figure sending shivers down the villagers' spines. With a swift motion, it pounced on the bait, ensnaring itself in the trap. As the villagers closed in, the ghoul thrashed and fought, its monstrous form twisting and contorting. But the combined strength and determination of the villagers proved too much for the creature to overcome. Its shrieks of anguish pierced the night sky, filling the air with a chilling, bone-chilling sound. Once trapped, the ghoul's relentless struggle grew weaker, and its haunting cries diminished into eerie whispers. The villagers cautiously approached, their breath held, and their hearts pounding with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. As they drew near, a peculiar, eerie silence engulfed the area. The ghoul's bloodshot eyes glared with a mix of hatred and desperation, its decaying flesh clinging loosely to its skeletal frame. The stench of rot permeated the air, filling the villagers' nostrils with repulsion. One by one, the villagers took hesitant steps forward, tightening their grip on their weapons. They knew that, even restrained, the ghoul retained a terrifying power to strike fear into their hearts. Its menacing presence was a constant reminder of the long-standing curse that had plagued their village. With a collective breath, the villagers prepared to deliver the final blow, hoping to put an end to the wretched creature's reign of terror. But as they raised their weapons, an unexpected voice pierced the veil of silence. "Stop!" came a feeble cry from the outskirts of the crowd. All eyes turned toward an elderly woman, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and compassion. She stepped forward, her hands extended, pleading for mercy on behalf of the ghoul. The villagers exchanged uncertain glances, torn between their desire for vengeance and this unexpected plea for mercy. That elderly woman explained that centuries ago, the ghoul had been a person condemned to an unjust fate, cursed to roam the earth as a twisted, tormented beast. Feeling a newfound empathy for the creature's plight, the villagers hesitated, contemplating the need for justice rather than perpetuating a cycle of suffering. The decision weighed heavily on their hearts, for they knew the ghoul had caused immense harm to their community. As the villagers deliberated, the ghoul's eyes flickered, as if recognizing the sliver of compassion in their gaze. Perhaps it understood that it had become a monster, a slave to its own cursed existence. Or maybe it was merely playing into their mercy, biding its time to wreak havoc once more. The villagers, torn by the plea for mercy, reluctantly lowered their weapons, unsure of what path to follow. Fear clung to the air as the ghoul, now captured but not defeated, emitted a low, guttural growl that sent chills down their spines. Feeling a sense of unease settle upon them, the villagers decided to keep the ghoul restrained, but isolated from the village. They constructed a sturdy cage deep within the woods, far away from prying eyes. It would serve as the ghoul's prison, a boundary between its wickedness and their fragile existence. Days turned into nights, and the ghoul's presence became a haunting memory for the villagers. But unbeknownst to them, the creature planned its escape, its dark thoughts festering within the depths of its tormented mind. On a moonless night, shadows clung to the trees as the villagers prepared for their slumber, unaware of the twisted plot unfolding within the woods. They never fathomed the possibility of the ghoul's cunning escape plan, nor the grim fate that awaited them. As midnight approached, an eerie silence settled over the village. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, awakening the villagers from their sleep. Panic engulfed them as they realized the ghoul had escaped its confines, leaving behind nothing but shattered bars and a wake of destruction. The air turned thick with the ghoul's malevolent presence, its sinister laughter echoing through the night. One by one, the villagers fell victim to its bloodlust, screams of anguish and despair piercing the veil of darkness. The ghoul, liberated from its temporary prison, reveled in the chaos it had unleashed upon the village. It stalked the houses, entering silently through open windows and creaking doors, its thirst for blood guiding its every move. Intertwined with the villagers, the ghoul moved like a shadow, its form transforming into something even more grotesque and monstrous. Cries for mercy fell upon deaf ears as the ghoul's newfound power consumed it, erasing any remnants of the humanity it once possessed. In the darkest hours of the night, the village became a battleground between life and death, hope and despair. The ghoul relentlessly tore through the villagers, relishing in their anguish, blood splattering across the once peaceful village. As morning dawned, an eerie stillness settled over the ravaged village. The ghoul retreated back into the depths of the forest, leaving behind a scene of devastation and loss. The once thriving community was reduced to a mere shell of its former self, forever scarred by the malevolence of the ghoul. However, despite the destruction, a flicker of determination burned within the remaining villagers. Driven by grief and the need for vengeance, they vowed to seek out the ghoul, to hunt it down and ensure it would never harm another soul again. The hunt began, a desperate chase through the twisted depths of the forest as the villagers embarked on their quest to reclaim their shattered lives. As the sun began to rise, flooding the village with its soft golden light, the remaining villagers came out of their hiding places. They were examining the wreckage that the ghoul had left behind, and their hearts were heavy with grief and the severity of their losses. Determined to rebuild their village, they set about burying the dead, mourning the lives stolen by the ghoul's insatiable hunger. With every shovel of earth, they vowed never to forget the horrors they had to endure, nor the evil that caused such devastation to their once peaceful community. Days turned into weeks, and life slowly began to return to the village. The villagers rebuilt their homes, repaired fences, and steadfastly tended their fields, refusing to let the darkness completely engulf them. They sought solace in the unity that the tragedy had created, reminding themselves that they were stronger together. But in the midst of their healing, a lingering sense of unease persisted. The villagers knew that a ghoul, once released into the wild, could never be truly destroyed. It lurked in the depths of their memories, a haunting reminder that darkness can seep into even the most serene places. Whispers began to spread, stories were told in hushed voices, Some claimed to have glimpsed the dark figure of a ghoul lurking in the far corners of the village, while others swore that they had heard his mournful cries carried by the wind. Fear seeped into their souls again, tightening its grip with each passing night. Nevertheless, in the face of this resurgent horror, the villagers stood firm. They sharpened their weapons, strengthened their defenses, and swore to protect their land and loved ones with every particle of their being. They knew that as long as the ghoul was alive, their fight against the darkness would never truly end. So, the village remained a battlefield, gripped by the eternal struggle between the forces of good and that ancient curse that held the ghoul in its evil embrace. Whether the villagers would eventually triumph over the tormenting presence of this creature, or succumb to its insatiable hunger, remained unclear. Under the cover of night, when the moon cast its unearthly radiance on the ghostly landscape, the villagers were preparing for the upcoming battles. They were ready to face the ghoul, protect their newfound peace, and write their own destiny, no matter how terrifying or uncertain that path might be. And so, the story continues. Its finale is waiting to be captured on the pages of history. The final battle between light and darkness is coming closer. But that's another story.